Okay. I feel really compelled to share this with whoever's watching or whoever decides to watch or comes upon this. Yeah, I'm in the middle of driving right now, and I don't normally do this. At least I haven't done it in a while. But I just feel really compelled to share this, and I've tried to get this story. I sat down I've sat down a couple times now and recorded this, and it didn't work. Something happened with the microphone, or something happened with my camera, and it's just but I feel so compelled to share this that I feel like now is the best time for me to do this, because I got a little bit of time driving. So I'm going to share a story that it's not my story. I'm telling it from an outsider's perspective. So if I mess up on some of the details here, I do apologize. You can actually, you'll be able to fact check me on this story, because there's an original video that correlates to what I'm about to tell y'all. It's a very compelling story. It's a powerful story. Great message. Kind of goes hand in hand with the story of the Good Samaritan. Give you a little bit of context leading up to the start of the story. I'm a big fan of I guess preachcore bands. Yeah, go figure, right? But I'm a huge fan of like preachcore bands. So bands like Oh Sleeper, For Today, War of Ages. There's a couple of them out there. If you want some good Christian content to listen to, that's heavy and it's got some pretty low vocals, something to get you jacked up. If you're gonna do like a heavy one rep or something, that's the best way I can describe it. It's for you. This story actually comes from the lead singer of one of the bands that I just mentioned, For Today. This story comes from Matty Montgomery. He's the former lead singer of the band For Today. They're not a band anymore. He's a full-time minister now, somewhere in Tennessee, I believe. But when this story took place, he was actually living in Alabama, and so that's where we're going to start the story at. Again, it's a pretty compelling story with an incredible message. So yeah, it's a gloomy night in somewhere in the heart of Alabama. It's a gloomy, kind of stormy night in the middle of summer, and Matty Montgomery wakes up and he notices a few things. The fan's not running. He looks at his thermostat. The air conditioning unit's not running. He goes to the kitchen, sees the lights, the light on the stove just flashing, really I don't think anything's on. Anyways, he realizes that the power's out. And so he goes outside and he investigates a little bit more, and he looks up and down the street, and he realizes that the entire street is out of power. None of the street lights are on, no porch lights, nothing like that. So he wants to investigate a little bit more, because it's the middle of the night. Whatever power company he has, they might not know of what's going on. So before he calls somebody, he looks down the street and he sees a rather peculiar sight. There's a truck that ran head first into a giant power pole, and the transformer apparently blew up, and it's a mess. This scene, it's a mess. So Matty immediately just takes off. He goes to investigate that scene, and when he gets there, he realizes that there's somebody sitting inside of the truck. He opens the door, and when he opens the door of this truck, the smell just hits him. It smells like a brewery inside this place, or inside this truck, along with maybe some other substances. And he starts to get that natural, like that first normal instinctual thought of, this guy right here he's a danger. His actions literally could have cost him his life, could have cost me my life if he'd have came down to the end of the street. He could have ran through my house with his truck. He could have killed me. He could have killed my family. He could have killed my kids. He could have killed one of my neighbors. His first thought was, like an angry. He started getting kind of emotional about this. But then the minister in him, the wheels start to spin, and he kind of realizes, okay, I got to put these feelings aside, and I got to try to get this guy taken care of because he's in bad shape. So he gets the name of the guy, and I don't remember the name, so for the sake of the story, I'm just going to call him Sean, okay? He asks Sean, and Sean says, or he tries to say something, and he really can't get nothing out, and so Matt realizes, okay, this guy is in bad shape. So he looks around for the guy's phone. He can't really get any information on the guy. He can't find his wallet to get his name or anything. But eventually, he gets at least his name out of him. So, but he couldn't find an address or nothing like that for the guy. So he realizes that the guy's in pretty rough shape, and he says to the guy, Sean, I got to take you to the hospital. And of course the guy's like, no, man, I can't go to the hospital. I can't, Matt didn't even give him a chance. He runs back down to his house. I assume he tells his wife what's going on. He gets his truck, throws the guy in his truck, and they're off to the hospital. Along the way there, I guess the guy Sean was with him enough to realize where he was at, and maybe this is where he was heading originally. We don't know this part, but he says, hey, my parents live over there. I want you to take me to my parents' house. So Maddie, okay, good. Maybe, I can dump him off on his parents, and that'd be the end of it. Turns down the street, goes to where this guy's parents are supposed to live. Well, he gets to the house, and there's nobody there. Why? We don't know, but there's nobody there. So Maddie's starting to put the pieces together with this guy. He's demonstrating a lot of really bad behaviors. He probably doesn't have the best relationship with his parents because he doesn't even know where they're at. Middle of the night, and Maddie doesn't just want to leave this guy alone, so he just says, forget it. I'm going to take him to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, again, the minister gears in Maddie's head start to spin, and he says, I gotta preach the gospel to this guy. If there's anybody in the world that needs the gospel right now, it's this guy, Sean. But he realizes the drunken and inebriated state that the guy's in. And so he's like, obviously the words that I say, they're not even going to penetrate. There's nothing I can really say to the guy. So, what can I do? They get to the hospital. They wheel Sean in there, and the doctor immediately is like, we got to do this test, we got to do this test, we got to see if there's a brain bleed, we got to see if there's any other internal bleeding. And Sean just freaks out. I can't pay for any of this. It's too expensive. I don't have insurance. And he's just throwing a fit. Well, they get him in there, and somehow they get him to say, okay, I'm going to do these tests, all right? And so one test goes by, another test goes by, and all of a sudden, boom, he comes running out into the lobby where Maddie's sitting. And he throws his hands up in disgust, and I'm not doing any more of these stupid tests, and yada, yada, yada. And a doctor comes out, and they get him calmed down enough to the point where he says, okay, we're gonna do one more test, and that'll be the end of it. Okay? We got to make sure you're gonna be okay, sir. So they sit him back down, and they take him to the back, and then somebody from billing walks up to Maddie, and she says to him, excuse me, sir, I'm sorry to bother you, but I don't know who to to make the bill out to? Who do I need to, what do I need to do here? And so Matty gets the papers and he looks at it and he kind of thinks about it, and a few minutes later, here comes Sean getting rolled back out into the lobby. And when he gets there, Sean kind of he's got this broken, defeated look on his face. And maybe this has something to do with it. He says, I need you to get in touch with my ex-girlfriend. I want her to come pick me up. Okay. Somehow he remembered the number. They get a hold of the girlfriend, and she answers the phone on the first call, and she's on her way to this hospital to come pick this guy up. She gets there, and they get Sean loaded up in this car. And again, he's got this broken, defeated look on his face, and then he just says these words to Matty. Listen, man, I appreciate this. I guess you trying to look out for me, but you really, though, you've done more harm than good for me. I told you I don't have any money for this. I told you I can't afford this. I told you I don't want any part of this, and you made me do it anyways. I have no money. I'm flat broke. I'm a broken person, man. Why wouldn't you just listen to me and leave me alone? And Matty says, well, look, I don't know what to tell you, but I can't really help you with your ongoing money problems. I can't really help you with the relationship problems that you have. I do think you need to change your habits, sir, but we're not going to talk about that right now. And right before Sean is about to say something else, Matty goes, oh, by the way, here's something that might ease your mind. I am going to cover all of these hospital bills. You don't have to worry about a thing. All these tests, all the, everything you just sat through to make sure you're okay, I'm going to cover that. You see, Matty decided that, yeah, I can't preach the gospel to this guy, but there's one thing I can do. I'm going to show the gospel to this guy. He said, Sean, listen, man, you ain't got to worry about this. I'm going to take your debt, and I'm going to pay that debt for you. You don't owe me, you don't owe me anything, really. This is a debt you can't pay back. That's okay. I'm going to cover this. Don't worry about it. And then after Matty told Sean this, he rides off. And I wish there was some testimonial story that could come from, like Sean just turned his life around. Maybe he did. I don't know. But that's a powerful lesson. I hope one day maybe I can be in a situation like that to where I can help somebody to the point where, I don't know. It's a humbling story because I've never been in a position where I could really do something like that. But it just really if you go in Matthew and you read the story or the portion of Jesus when he's on the cross and he dies, he breathes his last breath, and the centurion that's standing there, the centurion says, surely this guy is the Son of God. In that moment, when he after he watched all that transpired, this Roman centurion right here, after he watched what he had to reflect on his life. Man, what have I done? What all the things that I've done? and all the things that I took part in and did to this guy right here who's dying this terrible death. For what? He didn't do anything. He's truly innocent, and we just killed him. Truly, this man is the Son of God. I hope that that's something Sean maybe did. Go back and reflect about his life and how he was living. And he could go and see the example of Jesus and who Jesus was and what he did for us. I hope that's what happened for Sean. And maybe that's what we all need to do, is look at ourselves and realize the debt that has been paid on our behalf. I'm thankful for Jesus and what he did for me. And I choose to live my life for him because of that. If you want to see Maddie's version of the story, you can just YouTube his name, Maddie Montgomery, and you can go to his channel and you can find his story. He probably tells it a lot better than I did, but it's pretty remarkable. Something to think about. Anyways, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you checking this out. And hopefully this has been something beneficial for you. So I'll catch you guys later.